Don't leave. Keep watching because you'll understand what this video is really trying to say. The silence you hear at the end of this night is not peace, it is memory. A lonely wooden cabin still stands against the endless white. A small snow shelter waits beside it. And somewhere between frozen mountains and broken footsteps, 2 lives almost disappeared forever. An old woman who thought hunger and cold would be her final companions. A small penguin who crossed death itself, again and again, not for survival, but for loyalty. And now ask yourself, how many minutes were left before her breath stopped that first night? How many heartbeats before the snow closed over her forever? How close was the penguin to giving up under the bear's shadow, under the helicopter's blades, under the cage's iron bars? What invisible force made him walk through storms no creature should survive, toward a door he wasn't even sure still existed? And what does it mean when an animal remembers kindness longer than pain, longer than fear, longer than captivity? If the woman had closed her door 1 moment earlier, would she ever have known he returned? If the penguin had slowed 1 step in that blizzard, would reunion have been erased from the world forever? How many miracles are buried under snow because someone turned away too soon? How many reunions never happen because hope feels too heavy to carry? And when she knelt in the snow and wrapped her arms around that trembling body, was she saving him? Or was he saving her for the second time? Tell me this, in a world that steals, hunts, cages, and forgets, who truly protected whom? Was the penguin the rescuer? Or was the old woman the home he refused to lose? And if loyalty can survive 80 degrees, predators, hunters, and captivity, what excuse do we have for giving up on each other so easily? When you face your own storms, will you walk away? Or will you keep walking back toward the ones who once showed you mercy? Because somewhere tonight, beneath drifting snow and fading tracks, a miracle almost never happened. And yet it did. But let me ask you something even harder. How many times in your own life did someone reach for you when you were too weak to stand, and you never realized how close you were to disappearing? How many people, how many animals, how many fragile lives are standing right now at the edge of their last breath, hoping that someone, anyone, will notice before the cold takes them? And if it were you, sprawled in that snow, gasping for breath, your fingers frozen, your sight dissolving into a blinding white, would you still cling to the hope of rescue? Or would you simply give in, convinced the world had moved on? Because this old woman did not scream. She did not beg. She simply kept breathing until she couldn't. And somewhere far away, inside a cage, behind iron bars, a small heart remembered warmth instead of chains, remembered a bowl of fish instead of hunger, remembered hands that trembled but never hurt. What kind of memory survives steel and distance and fear? What kind of bond pulls a creature back across continents of ice with no map, no promise, no guarantee that anyone is still waiting? And what does it say about us when an animal shows more courage to return than most humans show to apologize, to forgive, to go back and fix what they abandoned? If the helicopter had flown 1 minute later, would the penguin still be alive? If the bear had turned its head 1 second sooner, would there be nothing left to find under the snow? If she'd halted her digging the instant her hands began to bleed, would the tale have concluded then and there, in quietude, with no one the wiser about how near hope had been to extinguishment? And as she trailed those footprints through the tempest, her heart shattering with each stride, had she already resigned herself to the notion of being too late? Or was there still a stubborn ember within her that wouldn't concede to a reality where compassion simply vanished? Think about that moment when she saw the snow moving, not knowing if it was danger, not knowing if it was death, not knowing if she was about to lose the last thing she loved, and yet she still knelt, still dug, still chose to risk herself for something buried and unseen. How many of us would do the same when fear is easier than faith? How many of us would keep searching when every sign tells us to stop? And when the bear finally turned, when the pursuit ceased, when the tempest relented, was that simply good fortune? Or was that the result of every small act of kindness that came before it, quietly building a future no one could predict? Because miracles are not loud. They do not announce themselves. They happen in snowstorms, in broken shelters, in silent cages, in trembling hands that refuse to let go. And now ask yourself, after watching this, will you remember it tomorrow? Or will it vanish like footprints swept away by the wind? Will you be kind to the next person, animal, or thing that needs your help? Or will you just move on, thinking that someone else will take care of it? Because somewhere, right now, another story is beginning in the cold. Another creature is getting lost. Another person is running out of strength. And the only thing that decides how it ends is whether someone chooses to turn back. And before you leave this night behind, pause for one final thought. How many doors in your life did you almost close forever, not knowing someone was already on their way back to you? How many chances pass silently because we are too tired, too hurt, too afraid to keep waiting just a little longer? And if this woman had stopped believing for only one more hour, that would love have arrived to an empty house? Because sometimes hope does not come when we call for it. Sometimes it comes when we have already given up. And the only reason it finds us is because somewhere, someone refused to forget. So tell me, when the world becomes cold, when losses pile up, when silence feels heavier than pain, will you still leave a light on? Will you still set a bowl in the snow for someone who may never return? Or will you decide that waiting hurts too much? Because tonight proved something quietly powerful, that loyalty does not need words, that gratitude does not need language, and that even in the most frozen corners of this world, love still knows the way home.